My name is Emily, and until recently, I worked at a small family-owned paving company. I started right after high school and stayed for 10 years. It wasn't a huge company, just about 20 employees, but it used to be a warm and friendly place. Back then, the chairman, who was also the founder, was still in charge. He was kind and down to earth, always working closely with the younger employees. His wife, Catherine, would come in every day to help around the office, and their daughter, Kelly, was involved in both office and fieldwork. Her husband managed the construction sites and had the respect of the workers. Even though they were the owners, they treated us like equals. But everything changed when the chairman got sick. It was late last year, during our annual health checkups, that the chairman was diagnosed with cancer. He decided to step down and pass the role of president to his son-in-law, Kelly's husband. We were all relieved by the decision. It made sense. He had the skills, the experience, and most importantly, the trust of the team. We just wanted the chairman to focus on his treatment and recovery. But then, out of nowhere, someone we had never seen before walked into our office, Tom, the chairman's estranged son. I didn't even know he existed. It turned out he had been disowned over 30 years ago. According to the older staff, he'd been a troublemaker when he was young. He was always getting into fights and even had trouble with the police. He dropped out of school, got involved in scams, and eventually pushed his parents so far that they cut ties with him completely. And yet, here he was, years later, standing in our office with his wife and daughter, asking for forgiveness. I remember the chairman's voice trembling as he pleaded with us. "I know I disowned Tom, but I believe people can change. Please give him another chance." It was hard for us to accept, especially Kelly, but we respected the chairman too much to argue. Tom and his family moved into the annex behind the chairman's house. He was hired at the company, and his wife began helping around the house. His daughter, a college student, visited the office once, but that was it. At first, Tom pretended to work hard, but it didn't last. Soon, he started throwing his weight around, claiming he should be the next president just because he was the eldest son. He didn't lift a finger to help and made it clear he looked down on us. "Manual labor is for the workers. You're just ants. Work quietly and don't ask questions," he once said. Morale dropped. A few younger workers even told the chairman they couldn't stay if Tom continued like this. But the chairman and Catherine asked us to bear with it. They still believed in him, or maybe they just wanted their family to be whole again. Then, 3 months ago, the chairman's condition worsened. He had to be hospitalized again, and Tom didn't waste a second. "I'm the new president," he announced. We were stunned. Everyone had assumed Kelly's husband would officially take over, even though the employees voiced their concerns. In the end, the chairman and Catherine gave the position to Tom. From that day forward, things got worse. The office felt heavy all the time. Catherine stopped coming in. Kelly and her husband quietly tried to keep the company running from behind the scenes, but I was left alone to manage all the clerical work. I often stayed late into the night just to keep up. Meanwhile, Tom spent his days drinking, gambling, and wasting money. I saw company credit card statements full of charges for bars and high-end dinners. I didn't say anything at first. I was trying to keep the peace. But one day, he handed me a receipt that went too far. It was for $4,000, corrective underwear for his wife. "I can't approve this," I said, handing it back. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice rising. "That's not a business expense, it's personal." He glared at me. "She's the president's wife. She needs to look good. It's part of the job." I tried to stay calm. "It doesn't work like that." Then he said something even more outrageous. "Fine, let's start selling these underwear sets through the company. We'll call it inventory." I blinked, thinking I must have heard him wrong. "We're a paving company." "So what? We'll pressure our clients to buy it, say we'll cancel their contracts if they don't. Easy money." I was horrified. That would ruin our reputation. From that day on, he made my life miserable. He yelled at me, insulted me, ignored my hard work. Every day felt like walking on eggshells. I wanted to quit many times, but I stayed, for the chairman, and for my co-workers. I didn't want to leave them in a mess. But then, on the morning of the 20th, it happened. The president walked in and said coldly, "My daughter is joining the company, so I need you to resign. Today is your last day." I was stunned. It was the day we processed supplier payments. I still had work to do, responsibilities to finish. "You look like you can leave now. I'll give you the rest of the day off. Just go," he said, practically pushing me out of the office. I stood outside, the door slammed behind me, wondering how things had gone so wrong. I had given this company 10 years. I had watched it go from a family business built on trust and teamwork to a place where fear and arrogance ruled, and just like that, I was thrown out. But as I stood there, something inside me started to shift. I was heartbroken, yes, but I was also free. I didn't know what would come next, but I knew I deserved better. I stood there in shock, unable to find the right words to respond. That's when Tom sneered at me and said coldly, "You're completely useless. My daughter has a college degree, she can handle office work easily, and since she's family, she won't question my expenses like you always do. You're all talk and no action. We don't need someone like you in this company. Get out." That was the moment it all clicked. He wanted his daughter to take over the accounting. It wasn't about qualifications or loyalty. It was so he could disguise personal spending as business expenses without being challenged. I stared at him for a moment, then simply said, "Oh, is that so? Just remember, I won't regret this." There was no point in arguing anymore. My patience had run out. I packed up my things quickly, my heart heavy, not for myself, but for the clients I cared about. Then I walked out the door. As soon as I got outside, I called Kelly. I knew she and Catherine were probably still busy at the hospital with the chairman, but this couldn't wait. I explained everything that had happened and told her I was trusting her to take care of the rest. Suddenly, I had nothing to do. Just like that, I was out of a job. It was shocking. Being fired without any notice like that was completely illegal. If I reported it to the Labor Standards Office, the company would be in serious trouble. But I had other options too. Since we were part of the middle company payment support system, I could claim both my severance pay and 1 month's salary. That system exists to help employees when small or mid-sized companies can't afford to pay severance themselves. I didn't need to hurry. I had up to 5 years from the day I left to apply for the support, and there was a 2-year deadline for any legal claims. So, I did what I always did. I made a plan. I listed all the steps I needed to take to process my retirement and what timeline I'd follow. After all the stress and long hours I'd put in, working weekends, staying late, I decided to give myself a short break, just 1 week, to breathe, to rest. I deserved that much. There were places I'd been wanting to visit once things settled down, so I picked one, the beach. The trip was refreshing, the salty breeze, the waves crashing gently, the peace of being away from everything. It was just what I needed. Afterward, I checked my phone in the locker. Missed calls, emails, voicemails, a lot of them. One email caught my eye, Kelly's. "The payment process went smoothly. Everything is in order," she wrote. Relief washed over me. Even though I had left in anger, I still felt a little guilty for walking out on my job like that, but hearing that things had gone smoothly gave me some peace. Then I listened to one of the voicemails. It was from Tom, the so-called president. His voice was panicked. "Hey, what's going on? They're saying I'm not the real president. Did you know about this? Explain yourself." I couldn't help but chuckle a little. So, he finally realized what he had never truly understood. I continued checking the rest of the messages and saw one from the chairman, asking me to come to the hospital. When I arrived that evening, I found Tom and Catherine already there. The chairman, lying in his hospital bed, greeted me gently. "Emily, I'm truly sorry for my foolish son," he said. Tom, however, was still loud and arrogant. "What do you mean I'm not the official president? Explain this." The chairman shut him down with a firm, "Quiet down." As it turned out, after I had called Kelly, she wasted no time informing both the chairman and Catherine. The chairman immediately reached out to Tom and asked him one simple question. "Do you really not know anything?" I looked at Tom and calmly explained, "You were never legally the president. That was just a title. In business, president is an internal role, but the person who's legally responsible, the representative director, is the one who has the real power. That role is registered and backed by law. You never held it." 3 months ago, when Tom was first named president, a lot of people, Kelly, the site manager, and some of the longtime staff, had serious concerns, so I had come up with a backup plan. Tom would be the figurehead for now, while the chairman stayed on as the official representative director. If Tom proved himself, we'd go through the legal steps to make it official. If not, we'd be ready to remove him and start fresh. Kelly had doubted him from the beginning. Still, the chairman and Catherine wanted to give him a chance, but when he fired me unfairly, it was like a switch flipped for them. They finally saw who he really was. If you want to lead, the chairman said to him, you have to care for your employees. I've told you this over and over. Tom just scoffed. It's not a big deal, right? We can just fix the paperwork. But the chairman shook his head. It's not that simple. This company allows employees to buy shares. Emily owns 10%. She's a major shareholder. We can't ignore her voice. And the other shareholders won't back you, either. Tom looked stunned. Wait, I don't have any shares, at all? I planned to give them to you once you proved yourself, but now, I'm deeply disappointed. Were you just waiting for me to die so you could take everything? The chairman looked crushed. Catherine said nothing, but her silence said a lot. Then Tom exploded. I'm the eldest son. What's wrong with wanting what's mine? This company belongs to me. I can't forgive you anymore, I said quietly. As a shareholder, I have the right to call for a meeting and propose your removal. You're a risk to the company. His face turned ghost white. You mean, I could be fired? I was just a clerk? Catherine stepped in. Emily is right. No one's going to support you now. She was the only one who believed you could change. Then she turned to me and said, Emily, I owe you a sincere apology. I let my feelings for my son cloud my judgment. Please tell me how you'd like to proceed. I looked directly at Tom. I have no intention of working under you ever again. I'm resigning, and I expect full severance pay and 1 month's salary, including all unpaid overtime and holidays. As a shareholder, I'll also report any wrongdoing and take action to protect the company. Tom's face was drained of all color. I continued, Kelly's already out meeting clients, and many are switching over to our new company. Most of the employees are planning to follow. Tom tried to shout, you can't do that, I'll sue. But the chairman raised his voice. I am the representative director. You have no authority. Tom collapsed to his knees. I felt a strange mix of sadness, frustration, and closure. It didn't have to be this way, I told him. If you had just learned and listened when you came back, things could have been different. You had so many chances, but you threw them away. This is the result. After that, the chairman shut down the company. Tom was left without a job. Later, I heard that his wife tried selling some kind of corrective underwear, but it didn't work out. They ended up in legal trouble for running a pyramid scheme. When Kelly went back to visit her parents, she found boxes of the unsold underwear still there. As for Tom's daughter, she found work somewhere else, but no one really knew the details. Now, I work at the new company with Kelly and the site manager. I feel peace. I feel free. I treasure the people around me and try to live each day with honesty and purpose.